All right. I guess we're on. Let's go. Let's get it. Good afternoon. Welcome to Let's Cross Together podcast with yours truly, the mental health coach, Fernando Cottrell. Want to thank you for tuning in. Got an interesting topic today on the podcast. We took a little break last few weeks, but we're back and kind of like in a relaunching phase. Sometimes you got to step back so you can step up. So we stepped back a little bit, got some of the kinks out, but we're coming here now live in full effect. Want to thank you again, once again, tuning into Let's Cross Together podcast. This is a extension of Bridge Crossers Solutions, Christian counseling, pastoral counseling, life coaching, where our focus is really a dedication to the ministry of mental health. We're in a posture in society right now where mental health is a hot topic because we realize that how important it is. This COVID has really exposed a lot of things that we didn't know about ourselves, about the culture, about society, about family, about friends. And so we thank God that he's given us this opportunity to be able to minister from a place of a transition. This COVID has transitioned us into a different place, a different way of thinking, a different mindset. Hopefully, throughout, as bans are lifted in society, we are better versus bitter. We are better versus bitter. And through being better, we're able to now hopefully take the lessons learned that from the COVID-19 experience and really apply those lessons so we could be better for it. I don't know if many of you know, but my wife and I, we had got COVID. I believe it was May. And I tell you, it gave me a different perspective. It really gave me a different perspective on life, different perspective on people, and just in general, just some perspectives I had changed when I was down for 30 days. It wasn't a good feeling. God was good. He was gracious. He is good and he's gracious, and he brought us through it. But it gave me a different appreciation of life. And so we just thank God for that. But yeah, so this is where we are today on Let's Cross Together podcast with yours truly, Fernando Cottrell. So today's topic, well, let me say this too. We also are on, go to our YouTube page, Fernando Cottrell Official. We have a lot of exciting discussions and some preaching, teaching on there on various topics. So go to Fernando Cottrell Official. Go to our YouTube page, YouTube channel. All right, so let's talk today, about the topic that really came to my mind because as we went through this transition, or still going through transitioning from COVID to now, we're able to come back without having masks on in many places. I believe in Virginia, the ban has been lifted. But I want to talk about something with that because sometimes we want to be wise that we don't come back without taking what we have learned from the previous process or from the situation, particularly COVID. Just for you that are tuning in, you can leave comments. I have the comment section up here. You can say some words and I'll try to address an issue or a question or a topic in relations to mental health. As a pastor and as a board certified pastoral counselor and a mental health professional, and most importantly, a believer, mental health is a topic that hasn't been discussed in the church and in the faith arenas. It's kind of been swept under the rug. And I think because of that, the church or at large has suffered because we didn't have understanding of mental health. We called everything a demon, or we demonized everything versus helping people walk through things. And sometimes people just need discipleship, not branded as having a demon or having something that through counseling and maybe through a friend or walking through with them can take care of. And because you can't fight demons with medication, you can't fight demons with just the things that we think. So sometimes we think everything is we demonize people or situations when really it's not that. So I think what has happened in place of that, we have misunderstood people. People had a bad day and we called it a devil. People just got laid off, or a person got laid off, or suffered a loss in life. And then we say this person has something wrong with them. And I think because we were not discerning or educated through the word or through the spirit in itself, the spirit of God, that we labeled things and we haven't become better for it. So Bridge Crosser Solutions, we're here as a ministry of mental health. I believe God has placed us here, myself and my team, those that I partner with that assist in this work or this labor to help people from a faith-based thought or process or perspective, the word of God particularly, how to overcome things, how to walk through depressions, how to walk through trauma, how to get past things from a holistic, healthy manner, biblically speaking. So that's what Bridge Crosser Solutions is. We are dedicated to this ministry of mental health. We're here to help people because God is concerned about what you're thinking. God is concerned about how you feel. God is concerned about your trauma. He's concerned about what has happened to you, because what has happened to you, if you don't understand how to walk through it or confront it in a healthy way, it begins to impact every area of our life. You could be doing God's will, but still have a mind that says, I hate myself. So we want to be able to get rid of that junk and dismantle mental health barriers so we can move and we can engage the word of God and life from a healthy perspective. All right. So let's cross together. This is who we are, the podcast, because people need people to help them. Bridges were not created to be admired only, but to be crossed. So Bridge Crosser Solutions, we're here to help you cross. Let's cross together. Doesn't it make sense to cross something or a challenge in your life with someone? Isn't it better to have comfort of someone who has your interests and that are helping you through something? And I think so. The roughest times in my life, I'm glad I had the right people around me to help me walk through it, to help me walk around it if need be, or to walk under it, basically to help me. And many times because of our past and because what we've gone through, we have to be careful that we don't isolate ourselves from help, because sometimes we'll lock people out or lock our hearts so people can't get in. But then also that same lock that's on there, we can't get out. So no one can have access to our heart. And then we don't know how to get out from being blocked in from the padlock we put on ourselves. I don't know about you, but I've been hurt to a point where I say, I'm not going to love again. I'm not going to try again. But that's not healthy. That's not wise. So imagine taking that perspective, but then you have to work around people. Imagine having trauma, whatever the trauma is or the situation is, and then you have to go out into the world with that mindset. It's not going to work. Imagine leading people and you haven't dealt with rejection. Imagine you're called to help people go to the next level, but then we haven't dealt with heartbreak. We haven't dealt with the trauma of our past or our youth, but yet we're in a position to help people overcome theirs. No, that's not how it should work. So hopefully doing these podcasts, and you will allow us to let's cross together, allow us to move and maneuver together. It's time that we start experiencing liberty and freedom. Yesterday, we celebrated Independence Day. So we want to have Independence Day in our personal lives. So Today, we're going to be talking about something that I think makes sense to where we are in society from a mental health perspective. Uh, uh, and the topic basically is we become better together. We become better together. You know, one of the main things of uh, that happens when individuals have experienced trauma is to isolate themselves, is to set themselves apart from people. I don't know about you, but you ever been in a room full of people, but yet you still been alone? You ever felt alone in the crowd? Because we could be in the midst of people, but still have tuned out the environment around us. So you could be in the crowd, but still be lonely. And so we want to talk about that because we want to be able to acknowledge what we've gone through, acknowledge the pain, but also enjoy the gain. You can acknowledge the pain. You can have pain, but you also can enjoy the gain. You can move away from that. And many times when we beginning at the process of healing, or maybe not even beginning the process, because sometimes we don't want to be healed because we don't understand what it should look like or what it could look like. And sometimes the people that we are around, they don't necessarily possess the skills or the compassion to help us move forward. You ever been in a position where you're going through something really heavy and you shared with somebody and they say, man, just get over that, man. You got to move past that. So the moment someone downplays your pain really is the moment we kind of lock ourselves away. So now we know this person is not the person to help me walk through it because they just insulted my pain. See, sometimes we're around people that insult your pain or insult your hurt or insult you by demeaning or undermining your hurt. I don't know about you, but I remember going through a really hard place one time. This particular time I remember because it was probably the worst thing in my life. And someone had the nerve in the midst of my pain and hurt say, you got to get over that, man. It's time to move forward. And so right there, I remember feeling this resistance to want to move forward, even though that was probably that was a right thing, but it was said in the wrong way. And plus, sometimes we don't know how to move forward. We all know that we should. We all know that we can move forward, and we all are good at encouraging others to do what we oftentimes are not doing. So it's not the point of not knowing what to do, but how to do that. How do I move past this horrible feeling and this terrible pain I feel and move forward into the gain? How do I gain beyond this pain? So when people say things like that, what it does, it makes you isolate and retreat more into your pain. And when we retreat more into our pain, now we're going to experience things. Now we bring other things: anxiety, PTSD, depression, avoidance. You know, a lot of things accompany when we retreat into our pain. We isolate. We don't want to be around people. We don't want to go to the, we don't want to be around family. So it makes sense. It makes sense because you want to go where healing is, not where insults are, because you have this. And I think in the church for a long, and I've been in this faith for a long time, and I've seen how the pressure is on us not to act like we have issues. There is, it's kind of like no one says it, but it's implied that if you got some weakness or some pain or something happening to you, you must be sinning or something is wrong. So we don't want to be labeled as not having faith. So what we do is take our problem and we try to handle it alone. We even hide it from God. we now we you know we feel like we can't even tell him about it, because if we tell him the truth about what we're actually experiencing, we're made to think, or the process in our heads at times is, well, I don't want to even show him that I don't believe. But all the pain and all the weight and all the pressure of what you're battling, where else can you take it? Where else can you take it? We're not designed to handle the weight of all this that we're battling. We were not designed to handle anxiety alone. We were not designed to carry depression alone. We were not designed. God didn't create us to just handle our lives alone. So the issue becomes, how or what do I do to gain past this pain? Maybe that was the topic today, to gain past this pain. So let's talk about it. I want to come from a perspective, from the thought process that is, we become better together. Satan wants you to isolate. And when you isolate, you put yourself out of reach and out of touch of the help. You ever feel like when you're going through something and nobody calls you, you get mad, nobody called you, and you were gone and nobody missed you, and then now we have an attitude because now we start thinking nobody cares about me, and they didn't reach out. But the other side of that is, when you begin to isolate yourself, sometimes to come out of isolation, one of the things we have to do is to reach out. There are times where people could reach out and say, where are you? But there are also, the other side of that is, hey, I need help. So it's twofold. They should ask, and also you should ask, or I should ask. I remember sitting home alone, going through some things, and man, nobody called but at the same time, I was thinking, well, I have a phone and I have their number as well. See, Satan will cause us to make us feel like help is out of reach and nobody cares. But in essence, we got to ask for it at times. See, asking is a powerful decision. Asking is a powerful tool because it opens up opportunities. Asking for help, letting yourself be vulnerable, releasing our pride. When we do that, it opens up the door or the floodgates to endless possibilities, because now when you put asking out there, now answers has an opportunity for answers to come in all types of ways. So don't be tricked by thinking nobody cares and they didn't know and nobody called. No, there are times when you ask, then the word goes out. The link begins to move now. People begin to know a need. See, we got to ask. Asking is a great blessing because it keeps us out of pride. Asking humbles us, puts us in a place of vulnerability, and asking is the will of God. So let's talk about we become better together. And that was just a little side piece why we shouldn't isolate, because sometimes you can't get better alone. But in a right situation, the right people, the right scenario, the right group of people. See, I heard someone say, I don't know who said it, but I've heard it. I don't know who said it. Maybe it was Miles Monroe. I'm not even sure. Maybe it was Mike Murdoch, if anybody know him. But he said something so profound one time. He said, we don't need everybody to like us. We just need the right people. So sometimes we have the wrong people in our corner when we need the right people there. See, there's a difference between people that I have history with. There are people that I'm acquainted with. There are associates, but then there's the right people, because sometimes the right people are not necessarily people you've known a long time, but they are the right people. They are the ordained people for this moment to help me cross whatever bridges is in my life. Bridges were not created to be admired. We're looking at our problems too long rather than crossing them. So the right people don't necessarily have to be people you've known a long time, but they are the right people in this moment versus the people you may know a long time, but they're not capable. They're not equipped. They're not made for this moment. So the right people can help you become better. And sometimes we got to come out of ourselves. We got to not be afraid to investigate or get into a process to see what makes sense and what's better for me. Sometimes being familiar with too many things, sometimes that's our downfall. We're so familiar with the thing that has never helped us, and it's time to investigate something new that can help me gain beyond my pain. So we become better together. The right people in your corner can help do more than the wrong people you've been around for years. All it takes is that one moment, the right situation and the right people to help provoke and for us to move forward and even move past that situation. The right people can be a counselor. The right people can be a coach. The right people can be a person that's skilled and trained in the area that you're bleeding in. Many times we're bleeding, but we're going to the wrong type of physician. We need a person that's skilled, that's more empathetic, that's been trained, that's been equipped, that understands how to navigate and maneuver from point A to point B to point C, how to walk it through. And sometimes we need more than just get over it talk. We need somebody to hold our hand, to help us cross together. There are times I remember I was going through, and Dr. Wade Runji, get a shout out to him, and I was bleeding. I was going through some pain, and he did something probably that I've never seen before in the body of Christ. Because sometimes in our bleeding, we're still made to do things. So we're still, from a mindset, hey, I know you're bleeding, but do more to help outrun the pain. So sometimes we can engage or put ourselves in, being a pastor, sometimes the thought is preach through it. No matter what you're going through it, preach through it, and God will do the rest. That may have some truth in the right moment, but every moment is not for that same truth. The truth I needed, I was bleeding bad emotionally, mentally. I was going through a horrible place, probably the worst place in my life. And he said, you know what? Sit here until you heal. Why try? If you're bleeding, why get in front of people and bleed? How about bleeding in this bleeding here, get healed versus trying to work. You're emotionally unfit, unstable, and you're trying to lead. You can't. Sometimes we're trying to lead while we're bleeding rather than getting healed. What's wrong with being healed? What's wrong with getting help, then go back out? What's wrong with getting strength to recover, and then you come back stronger? You come back ready. You come back equipped. You come back healed. And many times we're doing things unhealed. We're leading unhealed. We're leading and directing people from a place of trauma, and then it gets into control and manipulation and oppressing people. But one of the things he did, he said, sit still and just wait. He said, of course I need you. Of course I can use you to do this in the ministry. Of course it would be better. It would be better if you were here. But my pain is not your pain, and I don't understand that pain. But he said, just heal. And then when you feel like you're ready, then let me know. And see, that probably, since I've been a man of God, a preacher, a pastor, whatever, that's probably the first time, or probably the only time since I've seen that in my life, that someone let you actually heal rather than power work on you while you're bleeding. And many people are in that place. They don't have a safe place to heal because it's too much responsibility that they have. And all that responsibility is really prolonging their recovery process. And when you put more responsibility on you and you're not being recompensed through a healing process, all it does is create a hardness. And that's why many of us at times can become hard, void of empathy, void of compassion, because we're backed up in pain with more responsibilities and the pain in our past that we haven't dealt with. So he let me heal. He let me recover. He let me recuperate. And it was during that process of not having weight on my mind that I have to perform and I have to be this great preacher. And then when it was time, I came out and I said, you know what? I think I'm ready. And so that was so that's why it's important to have the right people around you. And we didn't know each other that long before he embraced me in that process. Now, we became friends, of course. That was my pastor and so forth. Great man of God. But he was the right person, even though I didn't know him long at that time. He was the right person for my healing. And this is why we need the right people. It doesn't mean you don't love other people, but I think we have the wrong people placed in our lives. And we're trying to get help from people. And we're bleeding together and we're just confirming each other's struggle. You ever been around someone, you think you're being helped, but all you're doing is exchanging each other's struggle stories? We're having fear meetings versus encouraging each other to walk it out. So we just feel good that someone is with us. I'm not alone in the struggle. And then so it's important to understand who's around you and for what reason they're around you for that period or that moment in your life or that scenario. So 2 Kings, 7th chapter, we're talking about we become better together. We become better together. It's a story in here that 2 Kings, the 7th chapter. It really confirms what I'm saying here. 7, started verse 3. It says, now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to one another, why are we sitting here until we die? If we say we will enter into the city, the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we shall also die. So therefore, let us surrender to the army of the Syrians. If they keep us alive, we shall live. If they kill us, we shall die. Now, this is so powerful, and it really confirms what I'm saying about the right people around you. Now, they all had leprosy. They all had leprosy. And I love this part when it opens up. Now, there were 4 lepers at the gate, and they said to one another, why are we sitting here until we die? This proves my point. Having the right people around you at your lowest place. God wants strategic people around you to help you heal. Why be depressed and you're around other depressed people? Why not get around some people who are not depressed? One of the tricks of Satan is to get you think nobody cares. We do care. There are people that love you. There are people that need you. There are people that love your sense of humor, that you add to their life. You add to scenarios. You add to situations. Satan will get you to think nobody cares, and it feeds that depression. It feeds that feelings of isolation and avoidance. But he says here, they were on one accord. So right here, having the right people around you at your lowest place. Strategically placed. Now, the right people, as I mentioned, are not always, you don't always have to have known the right people a long time, but you can sense that they have something you need to help propel you forward. Sometimes we're around history, and the history that we are around is not blessing us. We're just exchanging stories that we were engaged in with one another in. So, but it's time at times when at certain places of your life, you got to create new history, and that requires new people. And so the 4 lepers said among themselves, why are we sitting here until we die? So look at how they were on one accord with moving forward. They said among themselves, no one was at odds. No one resisted one another. Said, oh, what are you talking about? This is a struggle that I always have, and you don't understand. You ever go to someone and share your story or what your pain that you're feeling, and when they give you a healthy solution, or hey, maybe try this, but we get mad when they just don't let us be complacent in it, And usually we say, you don't understand what I'm going through. Sometimes we're not looking for the answer. We're looking for someone to agree with us and use that as the reason to not want to come out. The ultimate goal is the gain beyond our pain. We can live free and we can live whole. God is about mental health. He's about mental wholeness. He's about emotional integrity. He's about peace. He uses all these terms in the word: peace and joy. These are all emotional things. These are all things that will counter depression. That he said, if you're down or if you're heavy, put on the garment of praise. So he proves to us that he is about helping us be healthy. He's about that. He is about that. And as a mental health professional, I meet with people that have various situations, various things that have happened to them in the past, and we create strategies. We create coping strategies to help overcome how to walk things out, how to be discipled beyond this so you can be healthy. You don't have to stay in the place of hopelessness and despair and thinking nobody's there. You don't have to do that. There are things God have created. He's created one of the things, and particularly what we're talking about, he's created the right people to help you. So we become better together. We become better together, but we have to be in agreement. Look, you know what? You bring this to the table. I bring that. This is what I struggle with. You don't struggle with this. Help me. Let's all help each other, because we all have overcome things that could be an asset to someone else. When the moment you've overcome and been through something, I'm not saying you're an expert, but maybe you are, but we become an authority. Whatever you have overcome, you become an authority to understand how to be free, how to walk it out, how to be healed, how to get help, whether it's through counseling, whether it's through going to groups, and maybe it's pastoral counts, maybe it's apologize, maybe it's forgiveness. There are so many ways that God uses for us to experience this liberty, to gain beyond the pain. Maybe it's getting therapy. Maybe you got to therapy your way through it. Someone to help walk you through and to process the thoughts in a healthy manner. I had to do it as a counselor, as a coach. There are times where I need a counselor and I need a coach, because I would be well, let me use this word. I would be just unwise to think that I can do it myself in every situation. It doesn't make sense. God has placed people strategically with skills and testimonies to be able to help. All right. So we become better together. So these 4 lepers are sitting here in the same mess, but they were the right people in this mess. They were the right people. We're talking about, imagine having the wrong people in your mess. They never encourage you to move forward. When you have the wrong people around you and you're trying to move forward at times, sometimes there's a kickback, because the wrong people, in their minds, it looks like you're going to pass them. You ever been around people that you think are competing with you, and every time you want to go forward, they make a comment and it doesn't take all that, and why you want to do that? Maybe that's the wrong person around you, but the right people are going to say, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get help. Let's walk this out. Let's find out how we can gain beyond this pain. So I love this as we close it out. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. I don't know if any of you are making comments. Let me see. Let me see. Maybe you are. Maybe I just don't see it. Okay. Maybe it's on the other. I'm on 3 stages here. I'm on my personal page, my business page, and our YouTube page at the same time. And sometimes the comments can be on the other pages. I'm not sure. But I'll see this in a minute. So these 3 or 4 lepers were the right people for one another. I've been in situations where people had the same struggle I had, and we could not encourage each other to get free or to walk it out or to get help, because it already takes a lot to want to be whole. It already takes everything in you to actually want to get up. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to just muster up courage to say, I want help. And then you're already looking for one slight thing to be an excuse on why. Well, there it is. That person said we can't, so I'm not going to try. But these 4 lepers had the same exact situation, but they were the right people because no one resisted and said we can't. It says they said among themselves, why sit here until we die? Why are we sitting here? He said they said to one another. That's powerful. They said to one another. There was an exchange. There was a dialogue. There was inspiration, and there was agreement. There was unity. They said, why are we sitting here? See, we become better together. Maybe it could just be you're around the wrong people. So you like them, but they can't help you. You have history, but they're not helping you to advance. You've known them for years. Y'all went to school together, but they're not propelling you to move forward. But when you have the right people, you become better together. So they said, why are we sitting here till we die? And let's go on a little bit. If we enter the city, because they had leprosy, that's the word. That was probably still like the worst disease you can have. Leprosy, there's no cure. You're ostracized. The emotional trauma that's placed on leprosy, living in a colony, living alone, living outside of the gates, living isolated up in the mountains, no family, no friends, and all you see is people, the other 3 that look like you. Man, that's hope. That's you're talking about PTSD and trauma. You're talking about loneliness and depression and having no self-worth. That was it. You're away from family because during that time you could not be around anyone. And then when people saw you, they had to be aware and I believe holler out unclean. So you had to be acknowledged as unclean all the time. I don't know about you, but that's not a good feeling. That's not encouragement. So I'm trying to get you to see when you have the right people around you, even in the worst place, you still can walk it out. They all had the same thing, but they were the right people they were the right people for one another's bad situation. And they said among themselves, why are we sitting here until we die? If we go in the city, let's take the chance. Then there's a chance we may live, there's a chance we may die. But nonetheless, let's do something beyond this. There has to be something. I know sitting here, we already know this is guaranteed death. We're going to die. But when you have the right people around you, you become better together. And then you all win. And the story goes, as they went into the city was empty. So I want to encourage you from that point. Let's take the chance. Let's take the chance of becoming better together. Let's take the risk. Let's take this calculated risk, if you will. And put aside what we think, and let's become better together. Let's not bicker and fight. We can become better together. We can move beyond all these issues. One of the things that COVID has taught me, or solidified me more into my mind, how people, everybody has value. I already knew that, of course, because I work with people all the time, and I love working with people. But it made me realize the frailty of life, and you could be here and you could not be here. It's just like that. So it allowed me to realize that people need help. People want to be loved. People want to be touched, and people want to feel God's presence. They just don't understand what it should look like. But I believe as believers, those that move in faith and believe that we can help others. And I want to encourage you. Maybe God wants to use you to be somebody's together we become better. We can't keep isolating, and we have stories and situations that we've overcome that we can help people become better. What your pain has a gain attached to it. Find out where that gain should be. There is a single mother that needs to know, how do I overcome having these kids and not working and not losing my mind? But you know how to do it. And you've overcome it. And now your pain can be their gain. Maybe you struggle with depression, and now you're taking medication and you're going to therapy, and you're feeling better, and your mood is stabilized. Maybe there's someone around you that need to hear that story, because they don't have access to information or resource, and they don't know what to do. Always remember this: there is a gain attached to your pain. There is a gain. Now that gain, you got to ask God for direction. Where should this gain be put? There's somebody waiting. There's somebody struggling. There's somebody hurting to hear how you overcame. There's somebody waiting to know how to turn their pain into gain. So as these 4 lepers did, they go to the city and no one was there. And they left behind, it was nothing but all the spoils, the goods, everything was left behind. So they were able now to restart their lives, or have a new beginning, or their self-esteem came back because they became better together. So hopefully this has encouraged you on today's podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in. As I mentioned, we've been away from our podcast for a little bit. We've been away, just regrouping, restructuring. We want to be impactful. We want these podcasts to be an inspiration to you and a motivation, and to get you to move beyond where you are, and to help all of us. As a mental health professional, I love helping people. This is what I do. This is what I do professionally. This is what I do in ministry. This is what I do. This is what my degrees are in. This is my background. God has allowed me to be skilled at merging that with Him, cooperating with Him, and letting Him use my training and background to help people cross the bridges in their lives. We're not in this alone. You're not alone. I'm not alone. Take advantage of resources. Take advantage of situations that are designed to help you. You can also, I partner with several coaches, professional life coaches, and clinicians on our team who specialize in various areas: family, overcome anxiety, depression, church. One thing I just added to my things that I help people with: overcoming church abuse. How do you get past traumatic experiences, or spiritual abuse, church abuse, or leadership abuse? That's one of the areas that I specialize in helping people walk through that type of trauma. So my point to all is, you don't have to be alone. You can become better working with us or working with somebody, because the bottom line is we got to cross together. There is something more than beyond this pain. There is something more beyond our trauma. Healing does exist. Therapy does exist. Wholeness exists. Freedom exists. I was talking to someone some years ago, and we were talking about some things, and some things transpired. He said, I have forgotten what peace feels like. There are sometimes we can forget, or maybe have never experienced peace of mind. Peace. God says, I'll give you perfect peace. Sometimes you can be saved, you could be a believer and still not have peace, because you don't understand how to appropriate biblically how to have peace of mind, how to overcome those triggers. What do you need to do when those things are coming upon you? How you need to react. This is part of healing, but you got to come to grips with situations that are there. And here at Bridge Crossing Solutions, our focus and dedication is to the ministry of mental health, and our team of coaches, life coaches, specialize in various areas I mentioned. Go to our site, Bridge Crossers Solutions, or bridgecrossers.com, and view our page and give us a call, free consultation. We'll be able to help you walk through whatever bridge is in your life. We're here for you. But tune into our podcast Saturdays at 11. We're gonna in the past we had guests. We talk about various things, women's issues, men's issues, all those things that affect mental health. We talk about even mental health, mental illnesses, which, stay tuned. We're going to do an extensive podcast on what's the difference between mental health versus mental illness. And I think because people don't have the understanding, they avoid help because they don't want to be labeled. But we all need a healthy mind. We all need a healthy mind socially, psychologically, spiritually. We need a healthy mind. We need healthy perspectives. So we also we're going to be doing, and I didn't do it today, but we are going to be start back doing it. It's when you send we give you access to send us questions to answer on the show in relations to mental health and situations. And we like to start our podcast off with answering a question. Somebody has a question. I know usually the question always was, I think I got more requests to answer why don't people get the help they need. You know, we tackled that for every week. That seemed like that was the leading question that people would send in, and we answer. So if you got a question, post it on here. We'll answer it. Go to my messenger, or you can go to Fernando Cottrell at bridgecrossers.com. Email, post a question in there. Go to our website, bridgecrossersolutions.com. There's a contact section. You can post a question in there. But we want to tackle some of these questions. We want to dismantle these mental health barriers that have been blocking people's minds and lives, particularly as we're talking about from a faith-based perspective. I believe many people are being held back because they don't understand how to believe God for healing and overcoming mental anxieties. I mean, there's remedies. There is a way out of this, and you can live healthy, and you can live productive, and you can have healthy relationships. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to Let's Cross Together podcast, an extension of Bridge Crossers Solutions, where we are dedicated to the ministry of mental health. Share this podcast together. This is how we change lives. And remember, we become better together. All right. God bless you. Fernando Cottrell here, the mental health coach. I'll talk to you all soon. God bless you.